Is this the best performance coupe in class? This is a 2025 Mercedes-Benz AMG GLE63s coupe in Alpine gray over macchiato gray in black interior. I'm going to compare this against Audi, Porsche, BMW, and we're gonna see if this really is the best one to choose. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm gonna touch bases on some pros and cons, as well as the problem that I have with the 63S Coupe. Starting in the front, multi-beam LED headlights that integrate into the horizontal bars because this is the 63S. So you're gonna get that large grille that stands out, as well as the lower to make it look a lot more aggressive, and it should, because you have air suspension, you have adaptive suspension. This is all tuned by the AMG team, as well as a handcrafted V8 bi-turbo engine housed underneath this long hood. So when you're thinking about competition now, this is starting in the 130 range. The X6M competition is actually going to be the least expensive in class, and it's going to match the 0 to 60 on paper at 3.7 seconds. The Audi RSQ8 will be at 3.4 seconds. It will have more horsepower, but then when you're thinking about that Lamborghini Urus, this is where it kind of throws a curveball. You're gonna spend 100 grand more than this, and you're only getting 0.6 seconds quicker on a 0 to 60. It just doesn't make any sense with this 4.0 liter, handcrafted, bi-turbo V8. That's producing 603 horsepower, 627 pound-feet of torque, which is the same as the Audi RSQ8, reaching 60 at 3.7 seconds, so it's 0.4 seconds slower, roughly, than the RSQ8. But then when you're thinking pricing, this is going to be less than that. As for Porsche, you have to go into the Cayenne Coupe Turbo E Hybrid, which is going to be more than this at a base price, and it's still 0.1 seconds slower than this vehicle. I mean, there's just a lot of value that you're starting to see trickle in. With an AMG Speed Shift TCT 9-speed automatic transmission, and this is a V8, so don't expect anything great. It's 14 mpgs for the city, 19 mpgs for the highway, with a 48-volt mild hybrid system that will work like a supercharged that gives about 21 horsepower to that combined of 603 horsepower underneath the hood. So I like the technology you're getting with these upgraded 285/40 22-inch wheel up front, 325, 35, 22 out back. This is ready for the track, and you can tell that by those discs. They're vented, slotted, 6 pistons behind those red brake calipers. AMG 4MATIC, which will send 100% power to the rear wheel when you're mashing on the gas pedal. And that's paired with the self-leveling AMG Airmatic ride control with active ride stabilization as well as active damper system plus. And that gets a top speed at 174 miles per hour. So going back to all of that competition, like I was saying, it just doesn't make sense. You might as well spend less and get the same type of performance, because this is already track driven and it has that coupe style, which is basically a sports car lifted up into an SUV with a trunk lid spoiler, LED tail lights, and if you option the AMG night package, you're gonna have black aesthetics. Otherwise, you get the chrome aesthetics. I would option that, especially if I am looking at the other variants, because you'll still have a savings and you'll have that more sporty look. Especially for the exhaust tips, you can get them blacked out. AMG badging, towing up to 7,200 pounds, front and rear parking sensors with a 360-degree reverse camera. Now, the problem that I have with these performance variants is you have to pay for things like soft closed doors, interior features, exterior color, driving assistance. I mean, these things are $30,000 to $40,000 more than the trim underneath it, and I get it. The power is night and day difference. That's an I6 or an inline 6 with just a touch over 400 horsepower, reaching 60 under 5 seconds. This is at 3.7. But when you're considering that price bump, give me some of those amenities as well. I mean, let me know your thoughts about that and what you think about the 63S Coupe compared to the competition in the comments. Power liftgate going into 33.9 cubic feet. It's a coupe, so it sets up, but this has an electronic suspension. So what that means, fold the privacy cover, push this button here, and it's going to lower the suspension, in which it makes the clearance a little bit easier to get inside. You got a little storage nook here underneath the floor. Gets a spare tire with storage, as well as bag holders, a 12-volt charger. Unfortunately though, in order to maximize 74.9 9 cubic feet. You have to come back here and fold these seats down at a 60-40 split. That will maximize the cargo capacity to the GLE63s, but we need to go inside, start up this bi-turbo so you could hear that exhaust note. The key fob for the GLE63s Coupe. Macchiato beige black leather is the interior. Heated, ventilated, perforated, contrast stitching, AMG badging, 16-way power seat adjustment, memory for the driver and passenger. Brushed aluminum running boards, that is an upgrade. Let's fire it up. The dashboard is going to be a flat layout with the contrast stitch. The carbon fiber is an upgrade, 64 different color ambient lighting. Open up the piano black and you get a wireless charging pad, as well as heated and ventilated cup holders, USB ports. You have a palm holder here for the touchpad for a 12.3 infotainment screen that is touch as well. With Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. This is the driving mode select, which you already heard the exhaust note come in. And you have a ton of different driving modes that you can tailor through. Click onto the home button. This is the new inbox. And you have the comfort here for your seats, which is the massage seats. I like this. So when you click onto here, do the driver and passenger, and it literally will massage the whole body. Look how many different movements you have for massage seats, as well as ambient lighting. When you're talking about all this color configuration, you'll literally have a different scheme, or you can do your own scheme here, which is pretty crazy when you consider how much technology that they're doing with these vehicles. Performance AMG page, which will go through the consumptions and basically your normal information. This is the page that you want to go into whenever you're taking it on the track to get those super low 0 to 60s. You can record all this and you can configure it so that way you can see how much faster you can go whenever you're taking this onto the track. Put it into reverse, 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. You can click on these little camera and it will show all around the vehicle. I like that they put this little curb around the vehicle too, because it just makes it a little bit easier for somebody, because it's still somewhat of a large vehicle and it's coupe. So what that means, you're going to have some blind spots in the back. Door panel dashboard configure with the carbon fiber. We have the Burmaster sound system, auto dimming rear view mirror, full LED interior lights with a medium sized pano because it doesn't quite go to the back seats. You can raise and lower the suspension, open up in here. You have a pretty deep storage pocket with a USB port. Steering wheel is the best part. We get the carbon fiber, you get the 12 o'clock with the leather, you get the micro suede touch on both sides. For the 12.3 gauge cluster, you go over here. And what that means, you can fully reconfigure. Mercedes has the most configuration that you can do for this gauge cluster. This side here, touchpad, you can go into the infotainment screen here. And down through here, you have a rotary knob that you go to put it into your Sport Plus or Racing. You can make that active exhaust note a little bit more agile. Heads-up display and headroom. I can fit, I'm at 6'3". The same thing with the leg space. You actually have quite a bit for the front. The only thing that I dislike is these grab handles here on both sides with the ambient lighting. I'm fine with the ambient lighting, but it's just kind of higher up. You use this more so for your armrest, and back here, this is more for elbows, and there's no pass-through. As for that door panel, soft closed doors. Unfortunately, this is not standard. You have to pay for this upgrade. Contrast stitch, and I like the two-tone that comes into play, as well as a long storage pocket for the driver. For the back seat, this is the opening that you have to fit 2 more with the cup holders and armrests down, or you can fold this up and fit 3. Dual climate control settings, this is an upcharge. USB ports, you still get a little storage tray here. Air vents, storage net behind both of the front seats with an air vent. Headroom, this is a coupe, guys. I'm fitting fine. The same thing with the leg space. Door panel, no sunshades, carbon fiber, ambient lighting, soft to touch where it needs to be with a smaller storage pocket. Sliding into the center, you can see those AMG mats. The floor isn't flat. You could pick your feet up. I would recommend just relaxing because the rails are pushed up enough. The same thing with butt, leg, and shoulder space. This is a wide vehicle, so even though it's a coupe, look how much space I have. Mercedes AMG GLE 63S Coupe, 603 horsepower, bi-turbo V8 handcrafted, giving us 627 pound-feet of torque. That is crazy. EQ boost, which is the 48-volt mild hybrid technology. Sport Plus, look at this thing go. It literally will put a huge smile on your face. The exhaust that filters in, wow. And what I like about Mercedes opposed to BMW is it gives you all that performance, but it's still a smooth ride because BMW is going to be the most rigid of the vehicles. Sound deadening is awesome. Granted, I am in Sport Plus, so let's change it into comfort so we can actually hear. It's still good. Quiet and composed, 22-inch upgraded wheels, maneuverability. I mean, it's a 63S. You don't have to worry. It's gonna have a little bit of weight to it, but I appreciate that, especially if I were to take this onto the track. We're gonna throw it up into race, get up onto the interstate. Unfortunately, there's a lot of traffic, so there's not much maneuvers I can do here. Cracks filter in. It's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is the fact that you're getting so much at the value that you're at. Because when you go to something like a Lamborghini Urus that starts around $230,000, $240,000, that's literally what this is, $100,000+ more, and this is nearly fully loaded. You can customize this vehicle heavily, so it will go up a little bit more in the price. Handcrafted bi-turbo V8, you don't get that with BMW, you don't get that with Audi nor Lamborghini. I feel that the inbox is a little bit more superior with technology. It can be too good for its own because this AI technology is just amazing. Like, hey Mercedes.
Hello, I'm Mercedes, your voice assistant.
Right away it captures it. But what's a 63S if you don't give it a go? Oh, you heard those cracks come into play. It's no joke what you got underneath the hood. It gives you that drama, but yet it's still composed. And for the cons, you're talking over $40,000 more than the 53, which I get it, it's night and day difference in drive and performance, but still, that's a lot of value difference. Interior is starting to look a little bit dated, especially considering all the competition are changing it up. You do still get a one-panel, two-screen layout, but I'm not a huge fan of the plastic aesthetics that's around it. If you're gonna do that, just take those aesthetics out. I get it, you're trying to make it look like air vents, but they're not. The center cluster sits upwards a little bit. The seat setting itself sits up a little bit higher than my liking. The seats themselves are very comfortable, and this is the most quiet in class. I would say Audi is next and then BMW. The micro suede on the steering wheel, I kind of wish that it was on the top portion or not so much where you're going to use it daily. Because at the end of the day, when you have this type of material, it does obtain smells and it can go bad. I like that it's performance driven, but could this be an everyday drive? I mean, let me know your thoughts on that. Daily driver, I would do it personally, especially if I had 145 grand I was going to just throw on a vehicle. You might as well enjoy it. And the technology for Mercedes-Benz is the best in class, especially if you're trying to use the adaptive cruise control lane keep assist where the vehicle can pretty much drive for you. It can go miles without you being very engaged. The steering assist keeps you centered all the time. It feels very athletic in the interior, but it does lack a little bit of luxury in the interior. I like that they also offer a box or a coupe, so that way it's the best of both worlds. You either get more storage space. Even with it as a coupe though, I could still fit in the back. But like I was saying on the exterior, it just doesn't make sense to spend more money when the 0 to 60s are so close to all of the other variants. I mean, the Lamborghini Urus is around 3.1 seconds 0 to 60. 0.6 seconds quicker doesn't make any sense, especially if you're going stoplight to stoplight, because you know what's going to happen. You're going to be right next to that person. You'll still see their hood before you get to the next light. And the same thing if you're talking about the Audi RS-Q8, great value. You're going to spend a little bit more there. But for 0.2 to 0.3 seconds, I mean, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Mercedes-Benz of Clearwater for giving us this 2025 Mercedes AMG GLE63s Coupe for our car review.